question for you. What is the Great Bitcoin Flippening?
Great Bitcoin Flippening. Well, that is a good question to start with. What a concept. I mean, this is the big opportunity that everybody's probably going to be wondering about over the next year, and how to get mega rich with Bitcoin. And it takes a little, you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to figure things out on your own. I'm going to talk in riddles, and I'm not going to just tell you what to do. That's going to be the part for you to figure out. But once you start going back into the history of what happened with Bitcoin and where we are now with what's going on, you'll start to see the signs coming together, and the process is coming together to where we're going to see what's called the Great Bitcoin Flippening, where there'll be a massive opportunity for people who know how to capitalize on that. Now, I'm running with kind of like a meme, because originally, back when Daniel Krawisz first did the hyper Bitcoinization paper back in 2014, he talked about fiat flipping Bitcoin, and now it's evolved. And Jack Liu has done a bunch of shows with me as well, and he's talked about this flipping, he called it BTC, flip BTC, I guess is what he originally called it. But now, I'm seeing it as much bigger than that, to where we have all these laws coming out. We have the Genius Act. We have the Clarity Act that's now going to likely be brought forward in the next couple of months. We have Teranode release. We have the scaling of the original Bitcoin protocol all coming together. And we have the stagnant chain that Greg Maxwell had created, this altcoin. And so it's just stuck. So
you mean BTC?
BTC, it's stuck. And so it's yesterday I actually recorded a video yesterday where I've got these two influencers, and they're trying to figure this thing out. And there's a lot of people out there right now who are seeking truth, who are not corrupt. There are a lot of people who are just bad actors, but there's a lot of people who are just looking for the truth. They're influencers. They're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And when they really get into it, they will find out what I found, which is the same thing that this Great Bitcoin Flipping is going to happen. It's going to be through the liquidity changing on chain. And when the miners decide what chain is the most profitable to mine, it will flip overnight. Miners don't care about the actual necessarily about some political ideology or religion. They just are seeking profit. And right now it's maybe a little bit more profitable to mine, let's say BTC, but it's not much. And over time, as it changes and there's more transactions that come on chain, the profitability will change. And that will cause the Great Bitcoin Flipping, along with these other factors. So it's a fun meme that I'm running with, and I believe that it's in our hands. The other thing is like the stable coins that are coming forward. That's also a part of it. As those transactions are building things on chain, we have this massive stablecoin legislation in the U.S. that's coming about, and I mean it is probably I believe the biggest opportunity in human history, in my opinion. So, and I think it's going to be an easy one for everyone to capitalize on, just by getting the information and learning about what it is, how they capitalize on it. And I think it's kind of a fun little riddle to not just tell people what to do, to let them figure it out on their own and do the research and see how they can benefit, because it's there.
Wow, great description. I think our parishioners will be happy, as we say. Nuestros feligreses, because it was a point, to believe in BSV, you almost have to be like a parishioner, But yeah,
it's funny.
Technically, it's possible.
It's funny. The Teranode, was it last year or so? The Teranode group, they brought in. This is I don't want to use this word, so I'm not going to say that word. But anyways, the entire all the companies that are under the Calvin group, inside of Bitcoin. I don't say all, but let's say there's a big one called the Teranode Group now. And the CEO, which formerly was possibly Ager Hansen, back in the day, but now he's this other guy, Giuliano, and who I've made a kind of a friendly relationship with. And he came out and visited me about a month ago, actually maybe a little bit less than that, in San Francisco. And that was his question exactly. He's like, what is this Great Bitcoin Flipping? When is it happening? And what's it all about? And so we sat down and we had a long meeting about it, and we kind of made a lot of jokes. And I think it's possible that I think that Calvin wanted to know about it as well. I mean, because he works directly for him. We haven't heard from Calvin, but he did tell me that Calvin Air is 1 million behind supporting the original vision of Bitcoin, and seeing it scale, seeing it grow, and seeing it succeed. No matter what, he's committed. So it's exciting time, man.
Yeah, you mentioned the Clarity Act and the Genius Act. Can you develop a bit more? What is that about?
two laws in the United States. One of them is already passed. It's called the Genius Act, and that went into law in July of 2025. What that established was a regulatory framework for stablecoins in the U.S. So right now, we've had this, we have these stablecoins, and I believe it's the United States intent to have Tether and these other companies acquire the U.S. debt through holding treasuries. So by holding the treasuries, they then will be able to back their stable coins with actual treasuries from the U.S. debt. And so it is what hasn't been established yet is the actual rails. How is the stable coins going to work? Are they going to be all on chain through overlays? Or is it just going to be some old fiat? I mean, we that's all going into committees right now. And so we have I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll have our first report out from the Treasury of the United States with some of the feedbacks on the anti-money laundering laws, the KML laws that are being reviewed right now, and how they will work with the new stablecoin legislation. So that is happening 100%. Now, that first one, the Genius Act, is important because these state banks, the community-sized banks in the United States, if they don't get on board with adopting this new stablecoin legislation, they're going to get left in the dust. They're actually going to become dinosaurs and obsolete. So they must adapt. The federal side, they're going to adapt. They're bringing it forward. It's happening. It's just a matter of these smaller sized banks are a real opportunity for guys like us as consultants, where we learn about it and we can help to show them the best way forward and show them the best rails, the cheapest, most effective, the most legal, compliant ways to do this stable coin. Because I mean, when I started using I went into Rockwall and I used the money MNEE stable coin.
Correct. Man, yes. We also use that. It's amazing, man. And you don't need gas. You don't need the gas.
I mean, it's just gasless. It's just cheap. It's fast. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I love what they're doing, those guys with Ron Tater and Harbin. And I mean, I really think that once people start to see what it is, they're going to really see the benefit, the value. It's such a game changer. Now, the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is the second set of laws that are coming in the United States right now. They haven't passed, but they're going into committee on the 15th. Into the Senate. Now, they went through the House already, then they're going to go to the Senate. We got two branches of government, the Senate and the House in Congress, and then it goes to the president. So it's past the House, it's going into the Senate. What it says in the Clarity Act is it's a 267-page bill, and it defines a mature blockchain system. And in a mature blockchain system is defined under the Clarity Act as one that is not centrally controlled. It's not something that had a pre-mine to it, where somebody just pre-mined all the tokens, Jed McCaleb style, or XRP style. It has to be a fair, open launch, like the original Bitcoin protocol. I don't think there's anything else that was like an open launch, and then it can't just be centrally controlled. It has to have a long history, and I really see it really believe it as a proof of work. I believe that people like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase are going to be lobbying against the Clarity Act to have it changed and the way it's written, because it could potentially affect the crypto, the whole cryptocurrency bubble right now. It could potentially affect it, not because they're going to be illegal, but because these cryptos could potentially become securities, and then the mature blockchain, which would be the original Bitcoin, that would be a commodity.
Because one of the conditions to be a mature blockchain is that you have to have rules which do not change. Like, you cannot change the rules, like the main the protocol. That's
exactly.
why BSV would be.
That's one of the parts in the legislation right now, is that when the system launches, it has to have rules, and then rules have to remain the same. If it launches and then 3 years later the whole system changes to a whole new set of rules, becomes proof of stake, for example, Ethereum, that's not a mature blockchain. Same thing with BTC Core. I mean, everything changed. Everything completely went to an altcoin. I mean, that's just not going to qualify, in my opinion, as a mature blockchain. Now, what they have to do is these developers, Greg Maxwell, will have to come forward and make a declaration under penalty of perjury and say, hey, our system is a mature blockchain, and here's why. I swear under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States, and I'm willing to go to jail over this. Then he puts that in. That's what'll have to happen. Now we will probably see a lot of people lying and doing that, but then there'll have to be consequences for that. So that's where I see this evolving next if it passes committee. It's a huge paradigm shift in our whole financial system.
Well, that will be a great development. Yeah. Moto.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't know about the Clarity Act, and I didn't know about that definition of a mature blockchain, because that would rule out XRP completely, because XRP was completely pre-mined. But it would also rule out other blockchains. I mean, even Ethereum was partially pre-mined, or Polygon, or many other blockchains that we know.
It's just not a fair. I mean, they're trying to make it equitable, and fair. And when the three of us come together and we get to pre-mine all our system and we become super rich and dump it on everybody else, that may be okay, but it's just not a mature blockchain. It's not going to be a commodity, that it's not going to be under this act as a commodity.
Exactly. It would be security.
It'd be a security.
Just looked at Solana, which is right now the #1 utility blockchain in terms of usage, and it's also being pre-mined in a large portion. So
it's sad, but unfortunately, as we know, I mean, most of the entire crypto market is a Ponzi, unfortunately. So it's sad, but I think it's it is what it is. A lot of security offerings, and a lot of people got super rich, and I just warn people against crypto overall. It's dangerous, man.
And in relation with this Clarity Act, did you see Senator Wendy Rogers recently publishing a tweet about BSV? She's a senator.
Yeah, Wendy Rogers. I personally know her social media guy. As a matter of fact, I don't want to out him, but we have what's called we have Dan Scavino in the United States, and he runs everything for President Trump. He's his right-hand man. He runs all social media. He's his chief of staff in the White House. And so this guy who I know is also that for Wendy. And so he wrote that post. Obviously it's under her name, but they clearly see what's going on. It was a price prediction post, which is cool. I think it's at least something. It's great to see that it's in the consciousness of people. And I mean, as a newbie or just an investor, I guess that's all you'd care about is like a price. But I just think there's so much more to this than just looking at a price chart. Like the fundamentals of utility and the use and where we're going with this legislation and all this is really what I'm looking at, like going forward.
And that's what was mentioned in the tweet about the use cases, the scaling of this blockchain. So basically, it's good to know that they know. At least someone of the legislators knows that.
Well, it's not only there. If you read inside the report that Bo Hines made in the summer and in July, I made a video about it. And Bo Hines was the guy that pretty much wrote the Genius Act. And so he wrote a report talking about the implementation of these stable coins. It's 181 pages or so. And inside of that, he links to a John Southworth CoinGeek article. And inside that article, it's in the federal government's report. Inside that article is a talk with none other than, Craig Satoshi Wright himself having a sit-down fireside chat with Jimmy Wynn in Japan, Tokyo, defining the entire backstory of creating Bitcoin. That's in that article inside that Bo Hines wrote on over there at the federal government. So they know.
Okay,
they link
but they still the great public doesn't know yet about BSV.
And that's a good thing. I think that's where the opportunity comes in. Like, thank God they don't, because as soon as the public finds out, we will have the flippening. That's what will happen.
Yes, I know.
That's what will cause the great flippening, the great Bitcoin flippening.
When do you foresee that, actually? Because actually, I was listening to some of your videos, and you were even adventuring yourself to say, well, it's coming. It's coming.
If you want to have fun with it, I believe that I'm on a bigger purpose than this, and I think that I was sent on some sort of a prophetic mission of some kind, and I do have I think I had a spiritual experience, a little bit of an out of body experience back in 2006, and it's you kind of gave me a purpose in life. It really gave me a new purpose in life, like a born again experience, and I found that experience, I believe, put me on something to do with a November 30th. November 30th of this year, I think is going to. I just feel like there's something that tells me that November 30th.
Wait a minute. Can you please explain to us? This
well, I mean, ultimately,
what you had an experience like
November 30th, 2006. I had an experience like kind of an out of body spiritual experience, and it was like I was like inspired by God, the hand of God, and by that day, and I was really touched, and it was about this just kind of like a vision that was given at that time, and I do believe that vision is for the last 20 years. When it first happened, I thought it was like going to happen immediately. The vision, I thought, it's going to happen immediately. I'm supposed to go out and lift up humanity and spread love and prosperity to humanity, and all the little people are going to be lifted up, And I thought that was just going to happen, but it didn't work that way. It was a long-term thing, and I think that something tells me that it's going to come. Something tells me that it would come this year by the end of the year. But I don't know. I do believe that it's going to happen. That's kind of been my gut instinct, that we've got about another year left. So I'm going to just keep adding enough momentum, keep adding momentum as much as I can before it happens. And when it flips, all the little people who are knowing about it in advance, it's funny to laugh about. Like, can you imagine if you had 1,000 BTC? Oh, Rich, yeah. I was just thinking about like how crazy that is. It's just
okay. But do you think this will be happening all of a sudden and very fast?
Well, I do think it'll happen all of a sudden. It will happen sooner. It will happen later, and then all of a sudden sooner, because of the way the miners work in these nodes. So when the miners decide that it's more profitable to mine on one chain, they will flip.
Yeah,
they will just flip.
Yeah, and this will happen if really the BSV is used. With Teranode for millions of transactions per second.
That would be a for sure way. I mean, I think that's the inevitable way. Now, what's going to cause all those transactions? That's us. We have to build the demand. We have to build the businesses and the stablecoin infrastructure. I mean, in a realistic way, we've got the stablecoin legislation and the rails won't be in effect for like another 3 years in the United States. So to be more realistic, I would say that we still have probably about 3 more years, because then by that point we'll have these rails all built and the new financial system. They don't say new financial system in the bill, but that's kind of what it is. It's a new stablecoin financial system. It's a better financial system that'll be used in about 3 years.
But I heard the president of SEC. Of the ACC of America, he said that within 2 years, everything will be like tokenized, all the financial assets. I couldn't believe that. I mean, it's not feasible. They don't have the infrastructure to do that.
2 years seems a little bit premature, but
exactly. And Larry Fink, again, also of BlackRock, he's pushing also this narrative that everything must be in the blockchain. But I mean, for that, even if they use BSV, which is the only scalable blockchain, I mean, a lot of infrastructure has to be built. It's not there yet.
Yeah, it does. A lot of it has to be built. And I really think that we've got a couple amazing protocols, like the STAS protocol, the MetaNet protocol. These are even the David Case stuff that he's done with what is it? Him and Kurt had worked on. What's the one with David Case? It's the. Anyways, there's some really good protocols that are building on chain. I think that's the
BRC 100 now.
BRC 100 is the token, is the wallet standard, the vendor neutral wallet standard that Babbage should put out for MetaNet, which is super important. That's a game changer, because we got to have a universal wallet protocol, so all wallets are welcome. We shouldn't have to use one wallet. Everybody should be able to pick the wallet they want to use, and then it has a standard. That's what BRC 100 is. But yeah, I think having things go like on Sats. Sats are so key. We don't need another token offering when we can just use Sats.
Yeah, Sats, which are basically a token for each Satoshi on the blockchain.
Each Satoshi, exactly. Each Satoshi, which are 100 quadrillion Satoshis or something like that. So each one of those represent a piece of data, and that's what that's what that protocol is that David Case, had built with Luke. What is that thing called? One sat ordinals. Yeah, that's a they're putting data on chain with the sats. Now, there's debates on that, like whether that's the best way or is it the STAS protocol? Because if you look at the stuff that the guys did over there at that trading platform, they trade futures, DXS. DXS will tell you that STAS is the only and best way to go. And so there's kind of a debate, a technical debate on that, which I'm really interested and fascinated to have talks on. I'll do another show tomorrow, bringing live debate on things like that. I love hearing about that. Like, what's the best way forward? Is it STAS or is it one sat? And these are technical issues that need to be discussed.
Exactly.
So. But I do think that having go ahead, Naka.
Yeah, at this point, I would, because you mentioned also your experience in 2006 and everything. Who is Gavin Mehl at this point? We would like to know who are you that you have decided to talk about BSV so prominently. What brought you to BSV?
Well, I would say, it's ultimately, I heard about a theory. I first heard about the overall what was it, the Ethereum. I got into some sort of a scam in 2015, and I got rugged on a crypto scam, and then I stopped for about a year till I got introduced to Ethereum right around early 2016 from a buddy of mine in person. He showed me how to use it. And I didn't have anything to do with Bitcoin at that time, but I started buying the ICOs, reading the papers, and I just wanted to get rich quick is all I was interested in. So, I wanted to try to get involved in the pump on everybody and dump all my coins on the next guy. So that was what I was thinking was going to be great. And then I started learning more about the protocol, and the thing stopped working. Ethereum stopped completely working on me. So I thought I'm going to try to find out more about Bitcoin. And then the stuff with Roger Ver started coming out. There was a guy called Ryan X. Charles in San Francisco. I was living in San Francisco, and he was here. I didn't know him personally, but he made a lot of videos about the scaling wars with Bitcoin. So I followed that closely, and then I watched the BCH stuff came out. I made some content. I was already a YouTuber starting around 2016. I started building my channel. And so I made some content around 2017, around that time, about Bitcoin. Thought I was really, really interested and excited about what was happening with Bitcoin Cash at that time. And then, after that happened, I actually stopped following the Bitcoins around I think I put everything on cold storage around end of 2018. I just got super confused with what was happening. And I didn't follow anything that happened in 2018, 2019, 2020. I didn't follow any of that stuff at all. So it wasn't until more around 2022, that I really was like, let me look back at this. And I wanted to find out more about what happened with the Bitcoins. And so I saw that Jimmy Wynn was coming into a talk in Silicon Valley. And so I said, I need to meet somebody in person. He was coming out here. He was the president of the Bitcoin Association at the time, and N-Chain. And so I thought, let me go and check this guy out. So I met him in person. He introduced me to S-Crypt, Bruce Liu, Chaowei Liu, and he introduced me to him, and we became friends. I went out to Dubai, and I got to meet a ton of people in Dubai. Shortly thereafter that, I saw everybody in person. I saw the talk that Craig did, there in Dubai, where he challenged Ethereum, and none of that stuff's online anymore. It was just an honor to be there because they've completely those videos and talks are all gone. I don't know where they are. But so I went to that, and then I've been to pretty much most of the major events after that. I think I went to the London one after that. Then I went to London again after that. And then last year again was London. So I've been to, all the major events and stuff in San Francisco. I've been to a couple of hackathons and hosting spaces online for this. And, my background is I'm a non-lawyer, so I'm not formally trained in the law, but I'm more of an entrepreneur. I've been to court a bunch of times, and I had learned how the court systems work. And so, I have a kind of knack for the legal system, but I'm definitely not an attorney. So, just more of a business guy that, right now my passion is making content. I love making content and building an audience and, having fun with it. I really, really enjoy it.
And that's great. Actually, congratulations for your content. Actually, you are very, very hardworking. You produce a lot of videos and very interesting ones.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask also about that mysterious film, Killing Satoshi. Was it being shot in London, or did you see anything about the production of this film?
Yeah. So I did get put under what's called a non-disclosure on certain about that. So I have to be careful on what I talk about.
For sure.
But there's some stuff online that you can read about what is online, and it does say that the online stuff. It says that there was a film being filmed in London at that time. It was around the time that I was, in October. They were filming with Casey Affleck and them, and it's probably best to do the research online for that, because I am under a contract for
undisclosed.
Okay.
Yeah,
of course.
From what I can talk about.
That's fine. That's all fine.
But sorry, just because I didn't know this. But did you have access to the filming, or you were?
He cannot say anything. He cannot say.
Oh, okay. Forget it.
It's probably, yeah. It's pretty broad.
Subject.
Probably best for me not to talk about that, openly.
Okay, let's change the subject. No worries.
Sorry.